we go to construction sites that has tree trimmers or other roofing contractors that may be working close proximity to our wires. So what you're going to see here today very quickly, we're just going to show you a few things. We're going to talk about that fuse blowing. We'll show you an arc. We'll talk about electrical safety and a few other little things that you might not understand or might not know. I'm going to ask somebody if they would like to wear these. These are gloves and sleeves. It's part of our PPE, our personal protection equipment. If you'd like to try them on, it gives you an idea of what a lineman has to deal with every day. Anybody like to try them on just for a few minutes?
Can I stick this on you?
Yeah.
Now on top of this would also go leather gloves. So you can imagine on a 100-degree day, working at 60 feet in the air, trying to manipulate. A lot of it's manual work still. You can feel what it do.
Now what he's going to do now is we're going to isolate the fault. He's going to switch around the transformer, and what we're going to do is backfeed this trailer. The reason I mention that is the transformer does a great job. It takes 7,600 volts in the primary side or the top, takes it down through the windings, and produces 12240 that goes to your home. In an event, a homeowner goes out and buys a generator from Lowe's or Home Depot, hooks it up through the dryer outlet. Instead of having an electrician come in and put a disconnect switch in, what they're doing is backfeeding the system. So now this same transformer takes that 12240, back up the windings, and produces 7,600 volts out on our lines. So a line that was laying dead because of someone backfeeding from a generator could actually injure someone or kill them. What I'm going to do now is introduce this tree limb up into the wires, much like a tree coming down on our wires. What the firefighters and people can't see is that if this is making contact 60 feet up in the air, all that energy is seeking a path to ground, which means it's coming down through that trunk seeking that path to ground. If you come in contact with that tree, it's the same as coming in contact with our wires. That's why safety around this is so important. And as you notice, it'll sit there and smoke and spit, and eventually it'll burst into flames. But all that time, all that energy is seeking a path to ground. That's another why we put that information out there that every wire that's down is potentially dangerous. It's never a wire that we feel comfortable telling someone, sure, it's probably communication, go ahead, because we don't know, and here's why. That wire comes down, and it's on the ground. Doesn't do anything, it's not moving. And it's a cable wire. What you can't see is 2 spans up, there's an energized electrical wire down on that communication wire, and it's energizing it. So there's really never a safe scenario where you can come and touch a wire. Quickly about electrical injuries. Electrical injuries are 4th-degree burns, okay? You have 1st-degree burns. If you've been to the beach right now in the summer, you probably get a 1st-degree burn. 2nd, 3rd-degree burns have to be surgically repaired. 4th-degree burns burn from the inside out. So what you'll see with an electrical injury is a lot of times they transport to the hospital, they're coherent, they're speaking, everything's fine. But what happens in the next 72 hours is that internal heat that you've been introduced to is so great that it starts to cook your internal organs, and they start to shut down. So if you survive the first 72 hours, then it's a matter of how much you're gonna keep. But to get through that first 72 hours, a lot of times it's very touch and go because there's nothing they can do to stop that process. The hot dog we use is much like the human body, a lot of water, gristle, a little bit of fat. And it reacts the same way. So what you'll see is pitting. You'll have a distinct copper smell. The Dean's going to go ahead and introduce this on the wire. Notice the difference. Notice the arc across. It's already starting to burn that from the inside out. We'll do it again here. We've got such a good contact that it's tripping the breaker. But again, the reason we do this is to really drive home the point that when you see this happen, when you see what happens to this hot dog, it's very, very clear what could happen to the human body and why you need to stay back a safe distance from all of this equipment.